If you feel stuck in life and nothing seems to work the way you want it to, and you simply can't figure out what you're doing wrong, then this training is for you. If you've always felt that you were born for more, for something bigger, but for some reason you feel that you've ended up living a life that's much different than the life you imagined, and what's more alive these days for you is not your dreams, your visions, your desires, and what you want to create in life, but more and more what's becoming alive and present for you is the huge disconnect between the person you wanted to become and the reality of your circumstances now. Then this training is for you, and you want to stay all the way till the end, because the three things that I'm going to share with you today, I believe, no, actually, I'm convinced that will going to make a huge difference for you, and probably very fast. But the way I started this video, I wasn't just describing you. Basically, I told you my life story. I've always known that I was born for more. And when I was a child, I even believed that I was special. And I don't know if this resonates with you, but I sincerely knew that I was special in a good way. I was different than the other people. And I kept this general feeling for decades. But as life went on and I kept trying different things and I kept living life and I kept trying to live that more and what I was created for, I kept amassing a lot of disappointment and mountains of failure. And eventually it was somewhere around my mid-30s when that mountain of failures and massive disappointment was so heavy that I started asking different questions. I started asking myself, was I really born for more? Was I born for something bigger? Was I special, or was this just a childish idea? Maybe all of this was just a lie. Maybe it was all in my imagination. Maybe there's nothing like this, and I was just always meant to live an average life and to just be average and mediocre in life. And life works for a lot of people, but it's hard for me. And if things are to happen, I have to make them happen. And it's always super hard. And most of the things I try don't ever happen. And the things that I make happen are so difficult that it feels like, how is it that it's so easy for other people, but it's so hard for me? And I don't know if you resonate with this, but this was exactly my story. And it continued for almost 5 decades. I started in my mid-30s. I literally started letting go of my dreams and my desires, because at that point it became easier for me to not dream and just go with life and what happens than dream and things not happen for me. And then I live in this continuous disappointment and frustration and not understanding why things are not working for me. And this keeps impacting my self-belief and my self-confidence and my self-esteem. So I literally gave up dreaming. But there was this little voice inside of me that always kept nudging me. No, don't give up. You cannot just resign on life. You have to keep going. So I kept getting up and I kept getting up and I kept putting one foot in front of the other. But it continued to be hard. It continued to be difficult, and life continued to not cooperate with me. And I looked around, and everywhere I looked, people were trying the same things I was trying, and they were trying them the same way I was trying them. And basically, the way we are all trained, especially in the Western world, is to decide what we want, to have a desire or a vision, and then to go figure out how to do that. And then once we figure out all the action steps, all the how to, then go and take massive action after that and make it happen. It's all up to us, right? And so the formula that most of us work with, and the formula I worked with for almost 5 decades, and I literally figured it out in some more recent times, is this: desire or a vision, then decide on a action plan to take, and then go take massive action. So these three ingredients. And you know, as much as I know, that this does not work. And the proof is probably in your life, just like it is in my life. And it's in the lives of a lot of other people that we observe. But there are so many programs, coaching programs, seminars, retreats, books, courses, and from all the people that read these books, they take these courses, they go to these seminars, they take these coaching programs. Some of them make it work and most of them don't. And the action steps are there for everybody. So why is that? So it's not the program, it's not the course, it's not the coaching, it's not the seminar, it's not the book, because it's the same for everybody. So why is it not working? So I had to ask myself this question, but again, I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. And I kept amassing this frustration. And it wasn't until, like I said, fairly recently, well, where it dawned on me, with the help of amazing teachers and a lot of introspection and reflection and learning more about how life works. And I realized that I'm literally working against life. That is not how life works. I'm doing it backwards, just like everybody else. But I was looking around. This was what everybody else was doing. They looked around, saw what everybody else was also wanting, the conventional idea of success, and they decided they wanted something similar. And then they went out looking for the person who's already achieved it. And so they can take the action steps from that person, so they can execute on the action steps, and they make the same thing happen for them. But the reality is that most people didn't work it because they didn't take the action steps, although the action steps were there, the how-to was there, or they took the action steps, but they kept sabotaging each action step as they went, or they even took all the action steps and they may have even created the result, but the result only stayed with them a very short period of time because it wasn't theirs, and they had to return to their comfort zone, to their familiar place subconsciously, so they couldn't keep the result. And again, that was the frustration they ended up with. So I'm telling you about other people, but this is how I lived most of my life, almost for 50 years, and I couldn't figure it out until recently. And what I figured out was absolutely stunning. I understood that I'm working against life, just like almost everybody else. Some people figured it out almost maybe intuitively, some people maybe because of reflection, but myself, just like most other people, were doing it in a way that's not natural to how life flows. And so my biggest discovery was this: we hold our conscious vision, our desires, in our conscious mind. We decide what we want consciously. But what actually happens is not what we consciously want, but what our subconscious is programmed to. So what we have is this huge disconnect between wanting something consciously and holding it there in our consciousness level and taking action from there, going out, finding the people that have the action steps, the how to, and taking massive action and making ourselves pure will most of the time. But it wasn't there. It was the subconscious mind, because 95% of what happens during us every single day for all of us is not coming from our conscious mind, it's coming from the subconscious mind. 95% of what we do is on automatic, and that includes what we do and what we don't do, the actions we take, the actions we don't take, the reactions we have to life. 95%. And we only have 5% left from our conscious mind, and the only thing we can use them for is to make a new decision about reprogramming the subconscious mind. So you can see now how most of us are doing it in a completely opposite way. We decide consciously what we want, that's our vision, and then we go seek consciously for the action plan, the how to, and then we go execute on that plan like crazy. And by the way, there is still a lot of teachers who are teaching that. A lot of influencers are teaching that still to this day out there on the internet and in private. And that's sad, but that's how it is. That's why the most popular title for a video on YouTube is how to accomplish this. That's the most popular title for a blog post, for any article online, if you've noticed. Why? Because we're programmed to go and look for how to achieve what we want to achieve. But it's not there, because the steps are there for everybody and very few people make it work. And that is why, because it's not what they consciously want, but it's about what their subconscious program is guiding them towards. So this was my biggest revelation. So I had to ask myself, okay, if that's not how it works, how is it then that it works? And then again, with the help of amazing teachers and help in my life, over time, I figured out that the formula is this. So you want to write this down. It's vision plus installation of that vision plus non-resistance to that vision or desire equals the desired life. So vision installation, non-resistance to that vision equals to the desired life. So let's take now some time to go over each one of these individually. The vision, the first part. By the way, this is the same component that we have in the formula that's not working for everybody else. We decide what we want consciously. That's the only conscious part. But even that has to be done in a certain way. So the vision is crucially important because, again, 95% or more of the action you take or don't take or what happens around you that you're guided to automatically, you don't even realize that. But all of this is happening from your subconscious mind. It's guiding you automatically. The subconscious mind is a goal-achieving machine. It's a psycho-cybernetic mechanism. Dr. Maxwell Maltz spoke about this in the middle of last century. Psycho-cybernetic mechanism. In other words, it needs a goal, a clear goal, and then it's just like a heat-seeking missile. It goes and it guides you towards the accomplishment of that goal, even if you decide that consciously you don't want it. Even if you decide consciously you don't want it, that's still within the 5% of your conscious mind's power, but the 95% will just go towards that. So you have to know what you want. And the first thing to remember about having a vision or a desire is that it has to be specific. You cannot just say, I want to make more money, because then you can find 25 cents in front of you and that's more money, but it's not what you wanted. You cannot say or decide that you want to lose more weight. You have to decide how much weight by when. So the vision has to be specific. It has to look like a number or an event or both. So that's the first most important thing. The second most important thing is it has to make you feel good, because again, it's not what you consciously want, but what you subconsciously are programmed to. And the subconscious mind responds to strong emotions. That is why for most of us, what happens is the manifestation of our fears, our doubts, and our lack, because it's a very strong emotion and it's literally a constant program to our subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind doesn't care. It doesn't know what's good for you or not good for you. It's like a small child. It's like a little child. It just takes the instruction and goes, no problem, I'll work towards it. So the subconscious mind does not understand symbols like words. That's why affirmations, incantations that have no feeling involved in them, no emotion involved in them, they don't work, because the subconscious mind does not understand them. That's why you have to load up what you want with positive emotion. You have to really want it. You have to want it emotionally. The third thing is you have to experience the state of having what you want right now. And this is critically important, because that is where most people fail in their manifestation efforts, because they're trying to make things happen from what they want to create in the future, how they want to feel in the future. But the information, the intelligence field that we're all coming from, this amazing mainframe, the consciousness that we all originate, that's manifesting all life, does not understand future and past. There are no such things as future and past. There is only a perpetual present moment. We all keep moving from one present moment to another, to another, to another. In that sense, what you remember about your past is not your past. There is no past. You cannot get up from a chair, if you're sitting in a chair right now, and go to the next room and say, Ivan, I'm in the past right now. No, the past is always a present memory about what you recall in the past. Same like the future. The future is an imagination you have about what you call the future, but it's always happening in the present moment. So the infinite intelligence field does not respond to future feeling states, how you want to feel in the future when you get what you want. It responds to the energy of the present moment, always. That's why they say you have to live from your goal, not to live towards the goal, to move towards the goal. You have to arrive from the goal. That's why they say act as you're already that person who already has that result. Why? Because you feel that way right now. And reality is responding to what you feel right now. If you hold the feeling of, I want this in the future, what that means to your subconscious mind is, I don't have it right now. Because if you're wanting it, it's the only reason you're wanting it is because you're not having it right now. But that is the instruction. So all that you're casting out and you're programming your system with is, I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have it. That is why most people don't get what they want, because they want it in the future. They want to feel that way in the future. And you want to have it now, literally in a parallel reality right now. You just step in another frame and you are that. You already have that. Why? Not because you want to manifest it, you want to create it, but because it feels good to be there now. It feels good to have it right now. So that's why you snap from your current circumstances and you go there. So critically important, reality, this intelligent information field, God, whatever your word is that you're using, does not respond to what you want. It responds to the energy of your present moment. It's always a present moment. There's no such thing as past and future. And the last thing is, the fourth thing about the vision is the vision has to be authentic to you. You know, if you look around what everybody else is wanting, you may decide that you want a 150-foot yacht, but that's not authentic to you. And reality will prevent you from getting that because it's just not authentic to who you are. It's not that it's not possible. It's just not authentic to who you are. It's not an authentic for you desire. This is very important to understand. That is why a lot of people fail as well. So now let's go to the second part of the formula. So we have the vision. This is all happening consciously. And now we go to the second and the third part that are related to the subconscious mind. And that's the vision installation. That's the second part. So we decide on a clear vision, and now we have to drop it into the subconscious mind, into that subconscious program, because the subconscious mind will just guide us there without even our conscious involvement. And you'll have to take action. You know, it's not how most people interpret this, going, well, I just have to decide what I want and I just have to program it in my subconscious mind and then I sit back. No, you will be compelled to take action, and it'll almost be hard not to take that action. But most of it will be outside of your control. There are things that will be arranged for you in a way that you could never ever think to arrange them. You can never put a plan to put things together that way. You know, I sometimes with my clients, I go, how did you manifest your significant other, your spouse? Did you decide exactly what you want and then you wrote down a huge plan and then you started executing this plan step by step by step by step and you met them? No. If anything, you had to take a very little action. You had to just show up in a random place that didn't make any sense at the time, or they just showed up where you are. So it's not about deciding what you do and being conscious about it. It's about programming that into the subconscious mind, that vision, and install it in the subconscious mind. That's important. So here is how to do that. And I'll give you two ways. The first way is during the day. You just have to decide on, let's say, an hour or a day after you've received the result. Not how you receive the result, but after you've received the result, whatever it is that you want, the partner, the soul partner, the income, the level in your business, the career you want, the health that you want, the purpose that you already know, whatever it is that you want. You have to decide, you have to create an image of that that's very emotionally rich, but it's right after it's already happened. And you have to repeat that every day and come back to it throughout the day. And that's important for two very important reasons. The first one is because as you're doing this, you're creating what's called a future memory. You want to write this down, future memory. And now you're going, what do you mean a future memory? There's only past memories. There is no future memory. That's one misconception that we're pretty much all living in, that we're moving in the continuum of past moving towards the future, and we're always in that present moment and we're just moving, and the past is just in the past in that way, and the future we're moving towards the future. No, we are always in a present moment, but the past is emanating from the present moment, as is the future. The future is emanating in the present moment. So in this sense, a past memory and a future memory is the same thing. When you create a future memory, let's just call it a memory so it's not confusing. What happens is your subconscious mind, think about it this way. When your subconscious mind accepts it as a memory, number one, it's now known, it's familiar, and your brain has evolved over eons for efficiency, not for success, for efficiency. So it does not like the unknown and the unfamiliar because it requires a lot more energy for the brain. It wants the familiar, and it'll keep the unfamiliar invisible to you. And that includes all the opportunities that you're literally oblivious to, that are right around there. Why? Because it's unfamiliar. But when you live in this vision, you create a memory of it. And that becomes familiar to your brain and subconscious mind, because the brain does not make a difference between something that's vividly imagined with repetition or something that's really happened in tangible reality. So you make it familiar, and that's the first important thing. And the second important thing is, if it's a memory, then you must know how you got there. You see this? And now you're going, but if I think about it, I still don't know how I got there. You don't have to consciously know. That will come from your subconscious mind. But your subconscious mind knows that it's already a memory and it already knows the path to get there. You don't know it consciously. That's the only thing. But your subconscious mind, in cooperation with the infinite intelligence field, already knows that. Once it becomes a memory, it already knows, and it will guide you again automatically. You don't have to do much at all. If anything, from all the things that must happen, you'll probably take 1 or 2% will be your part of it. Most of it will be out of your control. You'll just be beautifully guided. And so the first way is to imagine this scene often throughout the day. The second way to install a vision in your subconscious mind is right before you go to bed. So when you go to bed, you will start imagining the same scene. And the reason why this works is, in addition to the 2 reasons I already gave you, we know that when we fall asleep, we drop from fast brain waves, that's the beta waves, the waves of the brain that we're in when we live conscious lives and we make conscious decisions, we worry about things. We drop into alpha, then into theta, and then into deep sleep, which is delta. But as we drop the brain waves, the critical conscious faculty, this division between the conscious and the subconscious mind, it just goes away. The conscious mind goes away. And so the feeling you have and the images you have in your imagination as you're moving from beta to alpha and to theta waves, especially as you move into theta waves, what's in your field of emotion and the images in your mind get directly communicated to your subconscious mind. It's just a clear path to your subconscious mind. So these are the 2 ways to install your vision that you need to know of right now. So now we move to the last component of this formula: vision, installation of the vision, and non-resistance. And that is removing the resistance. And there are a couple of components to this. The resistance that we all have is usually coming from our childhood. Most of it, about 90% of it, is coming from our childhood. And these are the limited ideas, notions, and meanings that we have and that we've created during childhood, and the trauma that has happened. And when I say trauma, I don't mean major traumatic events that are deeply hurtful and people cannot recover from them all their lives, many people. What I mean is, small t trauma, events that if you remember them right now, they're pretty benign. But for example, a person of influence, somebody of authority, said something quite innocent at the time, but you didn't know how to take it. You didn't know what meaning to make out of it. You couldn't reason about it. And it made you feel a certain way about yourself. And then you decided what that means for you. And it usually goes in the lines of, I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I cannot cope with life. I'm wrong. I'm faulty. Something's broken. I'm unlovable. Nobody likes me. Somewhere within these lines. So somebody says something. It could be a teacher and said, this is the wrong way to draw a stick figure. And you go, there it is. I must be damaged. I'm damaged goods. And then that stays forever. And in the background, it's running like a program. So this is the trauma that I mean. And that is how we create limitation. That's what we call limiting beliefs. And so limiting beliefs, there is a lot going on inside this term, but just to make things very simple, is the things that we decided about ourselves, about others, and about life itself or the world itself. So I'm not good enough. I cannot cope with life. I don't have what it takes. I cannot figure out. I'm not lovable. I'm not likable. Nobody cares about me. I'm alone. I'm damaged good. All these things are about me. About others, let's say rich people are evil. And of course, you're not going to allow yourself to be rich because you don't want to be evil, because that is your program and you don't want that. And so you're not going to be rich. Or about the world, let's say life is hard. You have to create that because that is your inner truth. Life must be hard to match your comfort level, your familiar level where you've been for decades, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, even more years. That has been your familiar. It's not working. And ask me how I know. This is exactly, I know because this was my mantra. Life is hard, especially after 30, 35. Life is just hard and I cannot figure it out. Maybe I was not meant to figure it out. Maybe I was just doomed and destined to live an average life. That was my mantra. So I'm speaking here from experience, and the rest of the stuff, I've had 95% of it, and I'm still cleaning up some of this stuff. This is work that we're continuously doing. But the first most important step, because right now you're going, well, I know I have limiting beliefs and small t trauma. All of us have. But what do I do about it? How do I address it? The most important thing is the awareness, the metacognition, to be able to observe your own thoughts. You have to create that space between what you're thinking and what you're observing about your thinking objectively. And so you have to be able to notice your thoughts. And what's even more important is to notice how you feel, because your feelings and emotions are the communication from your subconscious mind, and that's where the limitation is stored. And so you have to be able to notice, if I feel that way, what must I be thinking or believing that makes me feel that way? And then you get to the limitation, to the constraint, to the subconscious constraint. And then the second part is just ask yourself, is that true? And you realize that it isn't true. Although it felt like true forever for you, for decades, it isn't the truth, because out of 8 billion other people, there are hundreds, thousands, even millions of them who hold that opposite idea, and it's just working fine for them. So you cannot be that unique. You are unique. I am unique. All of us are unique, but cannot be that unique where something is only true for you and nobody else out of 8 billion souls on this planet. So the answer will pretty much always be no. Actually, it'll always be no. It's not true. And then you have to decide what you want to believe instead. But that's even secondary to the realization that you are holding something as true that isn't true. Just this will create enough cognitive dissonance where your subconscious mind will just drop it. So the first and the most important thing is the awareness level, to be able to observe your thinking and especially your emotions. So limitation and trauma. Now let's get to the second part of how we resist. And this was something that I am well practiced at for almost 50 years. And I only recently realized to the degree that I know it now. And that is forcing life versus cooperating life. See, most of us are forcing life because we have a conscious idea of not only what we want, but how we want things to happen. And we insist on things happening exactly this way. But that's not how life works, because that's how we end up swimming upstream, because there is almost always a different way that's much easier and perhaps even much better for us to get to a result that's more beneficial for us. We just don't know it. But the way the conscious mind works is it always looks in the past as an example of what to plan for the future. Your past and what you know about the past of other people, from their lives, from movies, from social media, from general popular media. Generally, what you know about life is that's how you plan the future. That's where you pull these action steps from. But there is so much that's invisible to you, that's not accessible at all to your conscious mind. But if you end up insisting on things working out this way, you, just like me for almost 5 decades, will end up swimming upstream. And that's not how life works. Life is far more effortless than that. Everything exists in a beautiful harmony, and everything wants to cooperate. Life wants to cooperate. Here it is. You're asking about the action. What action do I need to take? The action is this. It's the formula I just gave you. Decide what you want. That's your vision, and install your vision. And the last part is just pay a little bit of attention when you're animated to take just a little bit more action. And sometimes it's very little. And it could be, most of the time won't make any sense. Like message this person or call this person you haven't talked to in 2 years, or go to this coffee shop right now. And you're like, why right now? Go to this coffee shop right now. And you end up meeting your soulmate there. That's how you're asked to show up, when you're compelled to take the action. But that's only the 1, 2, maybe 3% of the whole deal. Everything else is just beautifully orchestrated for you, for all of us. So literally, if we know what we want and it's installed in our subconscious mind, and that is the program, not the faulty program, that's the wounds from the past and the limitations and the trauma, but that is the program. All we have to do is just keep moving out of the way and show up for this little nudge where we need to show up. And sometimes it might be more action. It might be, let's say you're asked to create a YouTube channel and start creating videos and pumping videos. But because it's coming from such a clean and guided and intelligent place, it's not going to feel overwhelming. It's not going to feel like hustle and grind. Yes, the volume and the output might end up being significant, and to an outside observer, it'll seem like you're taking massive action, but it's not going to feel that way for you. And you've probably experienced that already, so you can go to a reference in your own memory about this. So the biggest illusions we have is that we we make things happen in life. That we decide and we know how things will happen, and we make them happen. And it's up to us to make things happen. What's up to us is to stay out of the way, to know what we want, to make sure it's installed where it needs to be installed, and then to stay out of the way and to just show up when we're animated to show up. Everything else is beautifully arranged for all of us. Beautifully arranged. You know, you've probably heard this Zen concept, Wu Wei, the effortless effort, or there are many translations and interpretations, but the one that I think most experts agree on, and I'm not an expert, I'm just a beginner student, but the one that most experts agree on, including Alan Watts, is no forcing, no forcing. And they give the example of the river. The river always streams from the top of the mountain to the bottom, and there are rocks and there are obstacles and there are challenges on the path of the river, but it never efforts around these challenges. It just elegantly moves around them. That is the best symbology I've found to serve me to imagine what it means to move out of the way and to flow with life and to cooperate with life instead of forcing it the way I've decided that it must work for me. And let me tell you, deciding how I decide that life must work for me felt for decades like I want to open a door right here in front of me where there is just a wall. And there is a door 5 meters away from me, 3 meters away from me. But it's so invisible for me because all that I'm doing is I'm looking at this piece of the wall and I decide that this is where the door will be. It's exhausting. It's frustrating. It's damaging to the self-belief. It just does not work. And if it works, it's for a short period of time and we cannot hold the result because it's not how life works. Life is so intelligent that it wants to always meet us halfway. Please remember this. Life will always meet you halfway. You don't have to do much to just show up there. And I already gave you everything that you have to do. So now you have the action plans. So this is literally it. So again, let's summarize how I've done it for almost 50 years and how you're probably doing it, or you've done it up until this moment, is you decide what you want, your vision, and then you go out looking for how to make that happen. And then you commit to making it happen by taking massive action. That's not how it works. How it works is you have a vision, then you install that vision in your subconscious mind that works on automatic. And the rest of it is to keep moving out of the way by continuously addressing your resistance to what you've decided that you want. And the resistance is your limitations, our limitations, and our idea of how life must work and how exactly must happen, or no other way is accepted. That is it. This is it. I know it's simple, but I also recognize that it might take a couple of rewindings of this video and watching it again and again and taking even more careful notes, because as simple as it is, it's also far from the way we've done it for decades or our momentum. And so it might take a little bit of time for this to start sinking in. But I know that as I'm sharing this right now with you, you already feel that this is how it works. So if you have to watch this again and again and take careful notes and sit and internalize all of this and make it a part of you, please do that. If you want to take the action that's required of you to make things work and to get unstuck from life and to start moving towards what you've always known you're meant to do and be in this life, then this is the formula. So that's it. If you want more teachings like this, or if you want to know more ways I can be of help personally, then you go to my website, which is ivannikolov.com, or even better, join my Elevate WhatsApp community. And the way to do that is by going to ivannikolov.com/elevate. That's IVANNIKOLOV.com/ELEV8, the number 8. And that is it. That's where I put all the announcements for future trainings and all the communication and how I help others. So this is it for me. Please know that you are meant for something more, and that you are special, and that you are far more powerful than you even give yourself credit to be right now. You've just forgot. All you need to know is to begin to remember how powerful you are. I love you tremendously, and I'm with you every step of the way. Until next time. Bye-bye.